What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Combat Corporation, your source for combat sports. I'm your host, Al the Postmaster Morrow, and today I am incredibly excited, guys, because we are going to do another video here on the vlog series. Something that we posted the other day, of me at a grappling tournament. It was my fiance's idea to just follow me around while I do the grappling tournament. And you guys really liked the new content. You said you wanted me to do more of that. Maybe we'll do like a weekly vlog at the end of each week. I'll post that on Sundays or Mondays. I'll see if I can do that. Speaking of spicing the channel up a little bit more, today we have a very different video. My friend Sam, who actually wrestled for NC State, there's your first hint, was a very accomplished Division I athlete, and he actually started training at our gym about a year ago, I'd say. And ever since then, he's been an absolute wealth of knowledge. It's been great for some of our lighter guys, and even for me, just having that wrestling knowledge on our team, and it's worked so well because he has a very specific wrestling style that works so well for MMA. He's friends with my favorite collegiate wrestler and folk style freestyle wrestler of all time, and he is a 3-time Pan-American Gold Medalist. He is a 2-time bronze medalist in the World Championships. He is also a 2-time Division I national champion in American wrestling for the NCAAs. I am talking about the legend from New York State, Nick Gwiazdowski. All right, guys, so we're about 10 minutes away from the clinic's location in a place called Little Falls, New York. This is the location where my friend Sam actually coaches his wrestling stuff. He runs a small club out of here. He's also a coach at the local high school. He's really well accomplished. Wrestled for NC State, so I hope he gets to the cage one day soon. But he's good friends with Gwiz because they actually went to NC State together. Gwiz lives in a place called Ithaca, New York, because he's coaching and also training out of Cornell University. He is actually only about a 2.5-hour drive from us. Gwiz is the first modern athlete I ever really followed as far as collegiate wrestling went. I remember watching old tapes of Dan Severn, Bruce Baumgartner, Brock Lesnar, and all those guys, and I got into wrestling when I was in 9th grade. But I remember even back in 7th and 8th grade, and all my wrestling friends talked about this guy named Nick Gwiazdowski, or people just called him Gwiz. And Gwiz was, I want to say his senior year of high school would have been 2010 or 11, and his senior year of high school he went undefeated, 50-0, all pins or techs. No one got out of the first period, or got out of the entire match with him, rather I should say. So it's absolutely crazy that we get to work with him. I'm super excited to work with him. I actually asked for the channel if he would go live with me at the end, just to humor me, so you guys can see me get my ass kicked. I know you all would like that. If he would go live with me for about a minute, and I'm pretty sure his thought inside of his head was it won't last a minute. We're about to pull into Little Falls now, so I'll see you after. Big bridge in Little Falls, guys. A really nice canal going down. They actually have this thing called Canal Days. I'm trying to finagle this camera while I'm driving, which isn't the smartest thing to do. Sam, how long have you been coaching here, man?
Here?
Yeah.
4 years.
4 years?
Just over 4 years.
Wow. There you go.
You go. This is the room is made improvements every year.
Yeah.
Don't get this part on camera.
Don't.
We got our weights.
Nice.
Yeah. Basically, great packed room here. Thanks everyone for coming. I have a really awesome opportunity here. Fortunate to have Nick Gwiazdowski in the house. One of the best wrestlers in the world, right? Not Section 3, not New York State, not Section 2, not the country, the world, right? He was a 2-time New York State champ, 2-time national champ, 2-time world bronze medalist, 4-time All-American, and one of the best to ever do it out of New York State for sure. And he did just come back from Poland, the country Poland, not Poland 20 minutes away. With a gold medal at a very prestigious tournament there. All right, so he's going to have some amazing stuff to show you that has worked at the highest level in the world, right? So really pay attention. Ask any questions you got, really soak it in. Let's give him a big round of applause for
I'm running a little bit behind, so we're going to just start in on our feet. We're working on some hand fighting stuff, intermittent attack, and then we might get to the mat stuff. Get off bottom a little bit, but let's start off moving around in our stance. All right, I'll call out some. We'll just go shorter goes, just moving around in our stance, getting warm a little bit, and then we'll kind of work into it with our hand fight. A couple things I'm looking to do in my stance, especially, I always want to be matching head position or lower. All right, so if my head's here, my opponent's head here, I always want to be ready to be lower for defensive purposes and offensive purposes. All right? I don't want to find myself leaning on my opponent. Right? I like to have my feet underneath me and control my own movement. I don't want to be reliant on them. And then probably the next big thing is knowing where my hands are at all times. All right? Being proactive with my hands, not being lazy with them. Right? And realizing if I am being lazy with them, where I need to get them, and always being aware of where my hands are. Just being aware of where my hands are. Because sometimes you can leave your hands in places that aren't always the best, but if you know where you're putting your hands and you know what your opponent can do from there, you're better off. All right. So let's spread out and start moving around in our stances. First minute's gonna be on your own, and then I'll start calling out.
I got a buzzer.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
When are you fighting there?
Hopefully September 8th, if the guy says yes.
Circle right, sprawl. Stop. 2 shots. Now block. Now block. Circle left. Circle left. Keep circle left. Hard shot. Hard shot. Like a seat. Sprawl. Stop. Every time we tie up, one hand's down and I'm making contact with my other hand. Right? Real simple things. We normally get excited, we just want to grab a hold of our opponent. Well, let's do it in a controlled manner. If I can see their face, it's almost too hot. I'm always looking chest, hips area. Right? So if I can see Al's head or nose or face, I'm way too hot. I want to be low. Right? I want him to be looking at my hand rather than me looking at his ball head. Some of your partners, focus on your first contact being your head and your second contact being low, whether it be blocking an elbow, all right, or grabbing your wrist. Because if I control one of these things, I can make this second contact too, right? I trust myself defensively. If Al's going to take a shot, he's got one hand, I'm going to stop. That makes sense? Don't worry about it. So, hey, guys, when I'm snapping, I don't need to snap from the inside. I'm snapping over the top. I'm snapping a collar tie, and I'm scraping his arm off my neck. All right? So, Al collar ties me. I don't need to come inside here and snap like this, right? This isn't your conventional like snap down. I'm just snapping his arm off me. But also, if it is tight here, if he's got a tighter collar tie, I'm gonna pull over slightly, pull over and scrape, all right? So as I do this, I'm gonna pull over and scrape and circle out of it. Okay? Hey, real quick, one more thing to add to this that might make things a little bit cleaner on it. I'm not going to intentionally wind up and hit them in the back of the head, but I'm also not going to put my hand on the back of their head and then just snap from here. I need to have a little slap to it. I don't want to be tight ear to ear because everything here makes it more difficult. The only reason I want to be ear to ear is if I'm trying to like push the guy off the mat and not really look for any attacks. I'm in this position here and we're forehead to forehead. I'm not going to just go like this. I'm gonna, you guys hear that? I'm winding up a little bit. I'm not going like this, but I need to create a little bit of momentum as I clear things off. I don't need to do any of this tight, right? Very rarely am I gonna be able to squeeze his wrist as tight as I can, right? That's just unrealistic in a wrestling match. And plus, something that I kind of believe in is when you feel someone grab you really tight, what's your first reaction? He's back or they're up to something.
Yeah.
Right? This past weekend I was wrestling this guy, kept pulling it tight 2-on-1. I was like, no, because you want this really bad, and you probably got something from it. I don't like that. More than likely, you're not going to think much of it. It's not going to show up enough in your radar to be like, wow, my hand's turning purple, versus like, oh, okay, he's on my wrist, but if I just pulled my wrist away, pull your wrist away, you can do it. That's fine. But for the most part, let me just hold your hand. It's no problem. And I'm going to hop to the side here. So up here, Al holds his ground. I'm going to hop to the side. So. So I'm controlling things. I don't want to be real strong with it. I just want to control. All right. As he holds his ground, he might pressure back a little bit. I'm going to snap. I'm going to transfer from my elbow or wrist to the tricep. I'm going to hop off my feet to this perpendicular angle, and I'm going to look to the leg and run through. Right. right? Control my wrist, my elbow, pressure as I snap, pass and get my angle here, right? Here. This hand that's on the pass, or the wrist and the elbow, it's controlling the butt, hamstring, this position, right? This hand that's on the collar cot, right? I'm not taking it off there. I might get to this lock, but I kind of just want to keep their head down, right? If I can keep Al's head down and get to this position, you think I can take it down?
Let's bring it in right over here, Nick. We're going to spend about 10-15 minutes. Open up the floor, ask any questions of Nick. Any questions you want about academics, lifestyle, wrestling.
Just behind you guys.
Personal questions for Nick, what he likes to do, you know, how he balances his life as a professional athlete, right? Nick is a professional. You guys are going to realize that. Everyone here, even at the NCAA level, amateur, Nick, this is his livelihood. He's a
$8,000 and I win.
Yeah. he's like, you know, your Josh Allen, your Tom Brady level.
Also, I don't know if a lot of you guys know this, we grew up less than an hour from here. So kind of the same small town, upstate New York.
This is big compared to Waynesburg.
Yeah. So,
This got stores in it.
yeah, this is the city.
Yeah, mobile and
So we're gonna open it up. Don't be shy. Any questions you guys got for Nick? And he also is a coach at Cornell. Forgot to mention that.
Yes.
So, you know, anything
Assistant coach at Cornell.
related to that, college wrestling, coaching experience.
Commence. Yo.
What's like the average day of training for you?
Average day of training, Monday, we'll do technique in the morning, hour worth of technique, and then we'll come back in the afternoon at like 4 o'clock for technique, drilling, and live wrestling. Tuesday, we'll lift in the morning for hour to 3, depending on what the lift is. Lift and conditioning is kind of all in one with what we do, and then come back in the afternoon for longer goes. Or no, Tuesday sparring. So we just spar. We just kind of drill it and wrestle around a little bit. And then Thursday, technique in the morning, short situations, so stuff under a minute. And then Friday we just wrestle matches. So come in the afternoon for 2 to 4 matches, depending on what we're doing in the evening. Mind Gym. Mind Gym. Really good book.
Dream match. Anyone from any era, who would you tie
This
up
is
with?
like I've never had one. Like
No.
there's never been like, oh, I'd want to wrestle him. Yeah. But I think in that aspect, like styles change so much in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years. So it's like what they were doing 30 years ago, as good as someone might have been 30 years ago, like they may not have been that good now.
Right.
You know? So it's such a tough thing to say. I don't know. It more so I'd be like curious to see like how would I match up against Bruce Bumgarner, right?
Yeah.
His style versus my style. If we wrestle that right now, obviously him in his prime, me in my prime. How does that happen? Do I get blast doubled and gut wrenched? Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Does he get single leg and take it? Maybe.
Right.
So those kind of things are interesting, but I think styles change a lot over time.
Cool. All right, guys, I just pulled back in my house and just got home from the seminar. All I gotta say is Nick Gwiazdowski is the man. He was just a super nice guy, and what was really awesome about him is he walked right up to me and he said, what can I show you today that will work for MMA? Because that's what I do. I'm a professional MMA fighter. So I said, well, whatever you show me, and you know, I'll learn from it, is all I told him, because you know, I'm not gonna tell him what to coach if he drove all the way out here. And he actually made me be his practice dummy for the day, which was absolutely awesome. So a lot of what he showed was clearing ties, how to tie up properly, like low control, You know, tying up with, you know, a collar tie once you get low control of the wrist or the elbow. You know, you don't have to squeeze so hard all the time. He said that too, because if you squeeze, that usually tells him in a match, if you start squeezing or really getting a tight grip or trying to firmly grab something, it usually tells him, oh, he's good in this position, I need to get away from it. But tying up with him, I mean, you can definitely tell he's strong. He's just obviously knows what he's doing. The guy's an Olympic alternate. The guy's a bronze medalist in the world, you know, 3-time gold medalist in the Pan-American Games. Actually just won a really huge European tournament over in Poland this last weekend. And, you know, he talked about that a little bit. But overall, it was absolutely awesome. I learned so much. I got to apply a lot of things, and it was funny because every time he came up to me and asked what works for MMA, I said everything you're showing works for MMA. You know, especially for heavy guys like me and heavyweight. You know, commented on my shoes, which was funny because I always wear boxing shoes when I wrestle. I very rarely actually ever wore wrestling shoes. I usually wore boxing shoes or sambo shoes. But he told me he's going to give me a pair of wrestling sneakers next time, and wrestling shoes. I wanted to go live, I guess, a little bit at the end. Like I mentioned, we had talked about over the last couple of weekends, but he basically came up to me and said, hey, you know, I don't want to throw you around at the moment. He's tired, obviously. You know, you drove all the way out here. I'm not expecting you to do anything, and trust me, I got plenty of feel of how bad he'd whoop my ass just by going with him as far as a training dummy goes. Props to Little Falls Wrestling Club for putting that together. My buddy Sam Melkian, he's absolutely amazing. He was a great NC State wrestler himself. You know, and the fact that he was able to put that on for his kids too. You know, we always got to give back to the young ones, guys. You know, they're the future of the sport. Without them, we won't have a sport to look back on. So at the end of the day, that's the end of this vlog. I had so much fun, guys. I'm gonna try and sit down and edit this sometime soon, and I'll see you on the next episode. For now, thanks for choosing your source for combat sports, the Combat Corporation, and I'll see you around.